Welcome back, riders. Today I'm testing a 2022 Harley Davidson Fat Bob. The Fat Bob comes equipped with a Milwaukee-Eight that's going to be 114 cubic inches. It's going to be pushing over 115 pounds of torque at 35,500 RPM. The Fat Bob is going to be a very torquey, very powerful motorcycle. You're going to get all that torque from the get-go, meaning 3,500 RPM. You're going to get a standard sitting position. The controls are going to be forward. The seat height is going to be 27 inches, and as you can see, I'm going to have a 30 to 31 inch inseam, and I'm going to be comfortable. The Fat Bob comes with adjustable suspension, and you're going to have the ability as well to have a USB-C connectivity. This is beautiful paint job they did here. They call this a sand white pearl. So here we have your display. It's going to show you your RPM range in typical air-cooled V-twin fashion. You're going to see that the RPM is going to be redlining at 5,500. I have to say, Harley Davidson did a great job when it comes to the way everything ties together. This is going to be completely blacked out from forward to back. At the front, you're going to have a 16-inch wheel. It's going to be a dual disc 4-piston calipers. The wheel also is going to be blacked out, and you're going to see that Harley Davidson is going to be embedded into the actual wheel. The rear wheel is also going to be a 16-inch tire. So again, and it's going to be a blacked out wheel, so everything ties very well together. The exhaust on the Fat Bob is going to be a 2-to-1-to-2, and it's going to be coming right on the side. As you saw earlier, the Fat Bob is going to have the cover is going to be bronze, which ties really well with this sand pearl white that the Fat Bob is, comes standard with. So one thing that the Fat Bob doesn't have is going to be throttle by wire. You don't have throttle by wire. You lose the ability to select between riding modes, and you also lose the ability to be able to have the option of having cruise control. The Fat Bob also doesn't have heated grip. So three things that it doesn't have already. So you don't have cruise control, you don't have heated grips, and you don't have riding modes. So the Fat Bob from Harley Davidson has a very simple to use display. So here we are. Here's going to be the RPM tachometer here. This goes from 0 to 8,000. The Milwaukee-Eight that comes equipped on the Fat Bob right lines at 5,500 RPM. You're going to see that you're going to have your fuel gauge over here. You're going to see your mileage. You're going to be able to see your total miles on your Harley Davidson. The one thing I'm going to have to say, it's very dim. I'm not sure it's because it's very bright, but it's very dim here. We're going to go ahead and cycle through, and I'll show you guys. So this is going to be very simple. So you're going to have to be able to cycle your engine, turn your ignition on, turn in signals. You're going to have controls for the turn signals individually, right, left. You press it one time to use the turning signal, and it has self-canceling signals. When you cycle through, you're going to be able to see your trip A, trip B. It's going to show you your total range. It's going to show you what time it is. If you want to see your RPMs, you can see them down here as well, and you just go back to the mile. So I mean, it's honestly a very simple to use display. So you're not going to have any type of hard time literally navigating. I will have to say this is even more basic than the Roadkin that I rode earlier, if not the same. So the Milwaukee-Eight is going to be mated to a 6-speed transmission, and is going to be connected to the rear tire with a belt. So very minimal maintenance. Honestly, all you got to do is just keep an eye on that belt. There have been cases where you've had maybe like a pebble, a small rock that gets stuck between the teeth and your belt, and in a really worst case scenario, it will literally just rip your belt apart. But more than likely, what it's going to do is just going to damage it a little bit, and it's going to shorten the life of the belt. The Fat Bob honestly feels like a street racer. You have all this power, and I have to say, she does handle very well. The Fat Bob comes with a very small tank. This has a tank that's going to be over 3 gallons, and is going to the fuel consumption is going to be around 40 to mid 40s, as long as you're not really pushing on the throttle. It's going to be a standard sitting position, which I'm going to have to say it feels very nicely. I'm not a fan of those motorcycles, for example sport bikes, that you are leaning forward and you have all that weight that's going to be literally on your wrists, elbows, shoulders, and your neck. So the riding position feels great. The controls are going to be forward, which I have to say they actually feel pretty good. You don't get any floorboards on this one like you would with with your Grand America touring motorcycles. So this is going to be just right in line with your Harley Davidson Sportster S in the terms of like not having any floorboards. The exhaust is very quiet from the factory. I would have thought that you were going to get a little bit more rumble from the exhaust, but it's honestly extremely quiet. And even if you try to get it to 4,000 or 5,000 RPM, you can barely hear it. So I'm sure, I know myself, if I was to get something like this, I would want to put an aftermarket exhaust. I put two brothers on my Yamaha FJR, and it honestly brought the motorcycle alive. So is something for this bike as well if I was to get something like the Fat Bob, just because of how quiet it is. So guys, what do I like about the Fat Bob? Honestly, I'm gonna have to say it's very simple to use. The gauge over here has basically the information that you're gonna need. It's very basic, so if you're looking for something like that, then the Fat Bob is gonna make a good motorcycle. That Milwaukee-Eight and that low end torque that it has, honestly, it feels great. You could definitely feel her pushing through the gears. So as long as you stay in the RPM range, you're going to be able to feel all the power from the Fat Bob. Now, what I don't like, I'm going to have to be honest, I believe something like this should already have cruise control. You should have the throttle by wire that gives you the ability to have different riding modes. I mean, maybe that's an upgrade. I mean, I'm not sure. But it might be an upgrade. So I would think that Harley should definitely add throttle by wire, so you have your cruise control, your riding modes, you should have heated grips. I mean, things that should already be standard, and perhaps you shouldn't have to pay to get your motorcycle up to the next level. Another thing that I like about it is going to be how raw the power feels. I mean, there's no riding mode, so you hit it, she goes. So I mean, I honestly feel this bike is for somebody that has been riding for many years, just because you don't have the ability to tame the motorcycle by adjusting your settings. And other than that, guys, there's what is not to like. It's nice and blacked out. That sand white pearl job that they did on this bike looks beautiful. I mean, everything is the right way, and she does handle like a big bike. I mean, she weighs with all the fluids 679 pounds. So I mean, the truth is, once you are sitting on the motorcycle, depending on your size, you're talking that you are riding a motorcycle that's going to be 900 plus pounds. So again, it's going to be kind of heavy. So for having such a low seating position, you actually don't feel cramped. If you look at my knees, the seat height is going to be 27.8 inches, I believe. So it's going to be low to the ground. I have a 30 to 31 inch inseam, so you're going to be able to see here. It might be because of the way the controls are, which they're going to be forward controls, but I actually don't feel cramped at all. If you saw my video when I rode the Harley Davidson Sportster, you're going to be able to see that my knee is literally like up here at the top of the tank. So it actually feels very comfortable. The riding position is very relaxed. So I actually, for the little seat height that you have between the seat and the floor, it actually feels great. Actually, as a matter of fact, my FJR feels a little bit more cramped than this one, just because that's going to be like a more sporty riding position. So I would like to be able to hit a straightaway and be able to see what can the Fat Boy can do in terms of top speed, because I will venture to guess that she'll probably top around 95 to 100 miles, just based on her RPM and the way that usually air-cooled motors are tuned. Alright riders, if you enjoy this type of content, just give it a thumbs up so the algorithm knows it's good, and I will see you guys on my next video.